All right, Markham, it's Ms. Dev, your favorite school librarian. We ordered some new horror novels, so I am here to show them to you today. The first one is called Grimoire Noir. Grimoire Noir. Tongue twister, but it is beautiful, spooky, and utterly enchanting and charming graphic novel about coming to terms with your own flaws and working past them to protect those dear to you. So the main character, his name is Bucky Orson. He's super gloomy, but at 15, I mean, who isn't like low-key emo, right? His best friend left him to hang out with way cooler friends. His dad is the town sheriff, and wait for it, he lives in Blackwell, where a town where all the girls are witches. But then his little sister is kidnapped because of her extraordinary powers. Bucky has to get out of his own head and go on a journey to find her. In the process, he uncovers the town's painful history and a conspiracy that will change it forever. This one is a graphic novel, and the pictures are gorgeous. So I definitely think you guys should come in and get Grimoire Noir today. All right, folks, next up we have Runaway, which is part of the Fear Street collection by R.L. Stine. It's like Goosebumps, but just a little bit more grown. I do have the ones from the early 90s still in the library. I know I probably should get rid of them because they're really falling apart, but I just can't. Here is an updated version. So this one is about Felicia. She is a runaway, and she is hoping to start her life over at Shadyside, where nobody knows about her secret dark powers. However, she becomes terrified she will lose control of herself again when someone discovers the truth about her. Come and get Runaway by R.L. Stine, which is part of the Fear Street collection at the Markham Library today. All right, folks, next up we have Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. Anyone can follow the road, but few will leave it alive. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that really creepy movie called The Blair Witch Project. And if you have, this is very similar. It kind of has the same vibe. This is a amazing campfire story. It's about a missing girl, a vengeful ghost, and a girl who is determined to find her sister at all costs. So it's been exactly 1 year since Sarah's sister Becca disappeared, and high school life is far from normal. So with her sister gone, Sarah doesn't know whether her former friends no longer like her, whether they're scared of her, and her days of eating alone at lunch have started to blend together. So then one day she gets a mysterious text message, and it invites her and her estranged friends to play a game and find the local ghost, Lucy Gallows. Sarah is sure that there's only one way to find Becca before she's lost forever. And even though she's hardly spoken to her friends for a year, Sarah finds herself deep in the darkness of the forest, and her friends and their cameras are following her down the path. Her meaning the ghost, Lucy Gallows. Together, they will have to draw on all of their strengths to survive, because the forest is rarely forgiving and nobody is the same on the other side. Come get Rules for Vanishing today. All right, folks, next up we have horror classic by Lois Duncan, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They didn't mean to kill him. So this one is about 4 teens that are fighting to outsmart a killer who intends to avenge a young boy's death in this suspenseful thriller that has inspired a classic horror film, but we all know that the book is always better than the movie. After a party, 4 teens are in a hit-and-run accident that results in a young boy's death. They are not able to deal with the consequences. They leave the body behind and make an anonymous phone call to the police. The group makes a secret pact to bury the memory of that night and never speak of it again. But then one of the girls receives a very dark note that reads, I know what you did last summer, and their dark lie is unearthed. There are twists and turns at every corner, and they have to fight to stay steps ahead of a killer determined to make them pay. All right. Next up we have The Caro Haunt by Darcy Coates. So, the tagline for this book is The Dead Are Restless Here. The main character or protagonist of our book is Remy. She is a tour guide for Caro House, which is a notoriously haunted building. When she's asked to host 7 guests for a week-long stay to research Caro's phenomena, she hopes to finally experience some of the sightings that made the house famous. At the very beginning, it's everything that everybody hoped for. Then a storm moves in, cutting off their contact with the outside world. And quickly, things become very twisted. Doors open on their own. Seances go disastrously wrong. Red liquid seeps from behind the wallpaper. Their spirit medium wanders through the house at night, seemingly in a trance. But then when one of the guests dies under strange circumstances, Remy is forced to consider the possibility that the ghosts of the house's original owner, a twisted serial killer, still walks the halls. But by then, it may be too late to escape. All right, I know some of you guys are loving these haunted house books, so I got two more for you. This one is also by Darcy Coates. It's called Craven Manor. This tagline is "Some secrets are better left forgotten." So Daniel, our protagonist, is desperate for a fresh start. So then a mysterious figure slides a note under his door, offering him a position as the groundkeeper of an ancient estate. He's like, yeah, let's do this, even though it seems too good to be true. Alarm bells start ringing when he first arrives. The abandoned mansion's front door hangs open, and there are leaves and cobwebs all over the marble foyer. It's clear that nobody has lived here in a long time, and Daniel's feeling kind of nervous, but he has nowhere else to go. Against his better judgment, he moves into the groundskeeper's cottage, tucked away behind the old family crypt. But then, one day, a candle flickers to life in the abandoned tower window, and Daniel realizes he isn't alone after all. Craven Manor is hiding a terrible secret, and one that could possibly bury him with it. I totally just got the goosebumps by reading that book, so I know that means that you guys have to come and check out Craven Manor from the Markham Library today. All right, folks, here is our next haunted house book. This is also by Darcy Coates, called The Fullcroft Ghosts. So this is about Tara and her brother Kyle. They are sent to stay with their estranged grandparents when their mother becomes hospitalized. So their grandparents seem warm and charming at first, and the house, hidden in the base of the mountain, seems very peaceful. But then strange things start happening, of course. The door moves on its own. Peter, the grandpa, paces around the house at night. Doors slam, curtains shift, no one's inside, and so Tara begins to suspect the old house is haunted. So one day there's a storm and the phone line is cut. May, who is the grandma, shifts from very sweet to obsessive, and Tara and Kyle must pretend that they are still a happy family, but an empty journal and a locked room provides a lot of cues to the unforgivable lies, secrets, and decades-old murders entwined with the Fullcrofts' history. And you know what, guys? You better come get this book today because the ghosts are growing restless. All right, folks, next up we have The Lonely Dead by April Hendry. So this one is about a killer who's on the loose, and there's only one girl that has the power to find him. But while doing that, she needs to avoid becoming a target herself. For our protagonist, Adele, the dead are not really dead. She can see them and even talk to them, but she has spent many years trying to pretend that this is not the case, many years denying her gift. So when she encounters her ex-best friend Tori in a shallow grave in the woods, she realizes Tori is actually dead, and the gift that she has turns into a curse. So she has no alibi and becomes the prime suspect in Tori's murder. So she must work with Tori's ghost to find the real killer, but what if the killer finds Adele first? Master mystery writer April Hendry adds a chilling paranormal twist to this incredibly suspenseful young adult novel. Come get it today, The Lonely Dead. All right, folks, our very last novel of the day is Bent Heavens by Daniel Kraus. So this one is technically sci-fi, but it has some elements of horror, so I just wanted to also introduce it to you guys today. So Liv's father went missing more than 2 years ago, and right before he went missing, he was telling everybody that he had been abducted by aliens, and people are like, okay, whatever. So Liv has accepted that he is not coming back, but she hasn't given up their traditions. So every Sunday, she and her best friend Doug, they go into the woods and they check the traps that her dad left behind to catch the aliens that he so desperately believed were after him. But Liv is over it. She is done pretending that her father's theories are correct, and she doesn't really want to go through the motions anymore. But on the very day she wants to go and destroy the traps, she discovers in one of them a creature that is so inhuman that it can only be one thing. And then she realizes her dad was actually telling the truth, and no one, including her, believed him. So she and Doug have a choice to make. They can either turn the alien over to the authorities, or they can take matters into their own hands. Definitely like Stranger Things vibes. So come and get Bent Heavens by Daniel Kraus today.